Learn about creating mono-context protocol or MCP servers using FastMCP. MCP is the standard rule set that allows AI agents like GitHub Copilot and Gemini to securely and intelligently interact with your databases, functions, and applications. Carlos Leon created this course. He'll first define what MCP is and its significance before getting into practical, hands-on learning across 3 distinct coding scenarios. You will build real-world examples including different calculator types using both standard input-output and HTTP stream transfers. Carlos then explores advanced techniques by showing you how to use APIs to fetch dynamic content for an agent. To ensure reliability, you'll learn essential testing practices by leveraging GitHub Copilot to inspect and test your new MCPs. As a final bonus, Carlos demonstrates the critical step of deploying your MCP effortlessly on the FastMCP Cloud, providing you with a full end-to-end development cycle.
Hey, hello people from FreeCodeCamp. I hope you're gonna enjoy this course. It's gonna be about MCP servers. So we're gonna go what is MCP first and then learn by doing it. And we have 2 examples for that. We have 2 examples of calculators in 2 types of transport. So STIO, and the other one is gonna be HCPP. And the last one is gonna be how to use a feeds parser in order to get data about the new content of FreeCodeCamp on YouTube channel and their website. So I hope you like it, and if you have more questions, I'll leave the repository below. You can go and see the code. And also, if you have any comments, please leave them below. I hope you like it, and keep coding. All right, welcome to the course Introduction to MCPs. It's not as quick as I expect, so let's start. MCP is a model context protocol. So by protocol means standard rules when you let some AI agents to interact with databases, functions, or in other words, it's like teaching an agent to interact with things in your own way. The types of MCPs that you're gonna find nowadays are 2 mainly. The first one is standard input and output. So this is when you deploy things locally. So it's like you are running another process in your computer. So you just let the agent to connect to that process. So HTTP stream is when you try to do external apps to that. So it's for remote connections, and it's for production things. So some examples you're gonna find like GitHub MCP, so you can manage branches. WhatsApp, you can read some messages and also send. So also there are more examples built by the community, so you can just check out some unofficial websites like this one that is here, and you can see the list of things that people are doing nowadays because this is now trendy. Okay, so the question here is how to build an MCP server. I can tell you 2 ways. Just go to the official SDK that you have multiple languages to use, or the 2 main ones that we're going to use for this course, the FastMCP and the FastAPI MCP. The FastMCP is like you build an MCP from 0, it's quite easy to do it. And you can do STIO or CPP. And the second one is when you come from the API and then you convert it to an MCP. So we're going to use a calculator example for that. And how to test an MCP server. We have an MCP inspector. So when you want to try things, you just need to use this command that you see here, npx add model context protocol / inspector, and the command is going to depend if it is a STIO or if it is a HTTP type of MCP. And yes, we're going to use it throughout this course, so don't worry too much about it, but just keep in mind that we have inspector to test things, so not only code and then you see what happens, right? Yeah. All right, now this is the important part. I hope you understand what happens here. So when we build an MCP server, we need a client. So this client is going to be an agent, and this agent, if it is local, it's going to be like a GitHub Copilot, Gemini CLA, or the cloud for desktop. So it's when you connect to the other server that it looks like an app, like a process. Okay, also you can do through IDEs like Visual Studio Code or Cursor that have some agents inside. Or if you only use HTTP, you can use some external tools like ChatGPT or Mistral that have LeChat, where you can just use the connectors there to connect to the MCP server that is now deployed on a certain address. So for this, I will give you an example at the end of the course, how to deploy this using FastMCP Cloud, and we can gonna use LeChat, so it's gonna be more easy to understand. So first of all, let's start with the calculator examples, as I mentioned. First, we're gonna start with the library FastMCP, and we're just gonna build it with the type STIO, standard input and output. So are you ready for this? Let's go to Visual Studio Code. Right, now that we are here, we try to install the libraries. So we're gonna go pip install FastMCP. That is all we need for now. So take some time. All right, after we do that, remember if you want to use a virtual environment in Python, it's recommendable. If not, then just go like this, just run pip install. So here in a folder, we're gonna create the file FastMCP score calculator.py. Don't worry, it's gonna be on the GitHub as well, so you can take a look at that later because we're gonna go a little bit faster. So let's import the library that we need. So the only one that we need for now, because it's a local type, you remember, we don't need much more like install ubicorn. That's when the play server, right? No. So the first we're gonna do is from FastMCP import what? The FastMCP. Let me see if everything's right. See FastMCP, yes. All right. Now all we have to do is to create the MCP object. So how do we do that? We say that it's gonna be equal to FastMCP. We're gonna give it a name. So what is gonna be the name of this MCP? Let's say calculator. Yeah, makes sense, right? Somehow we're building some mathematical operations here. All right, so we give that name to our MCP server here. Now it's time to use the decorator mcp.tool. That this means that we're gonna use a function. So for declaring this tool, we're gonna use the keyword def, that's for function in Python, and we give it a name. So the name of this tool will be, let's start with multiply. Thank you for suggestions, Copilot, and then we're gonna say that the argument is gonna be type float, and we're gonna return a float. Is it important? Yes, that you can skip that part, or you can just keep it depending if you want certain schema. And don't worry, we're not gonna go much into detail. At the same time, with if this function is synchronous or asynchronous, for now it's gonna be synchronous, so don't worry too much. And this is the doc string. You see like some comments there, right? This is important to let the agent that this tool do certain things. Like this is the description of the tool. This is really important, and maybe you might not think like, this is not important, this is only for developers. No, but now we are talking to agents, so agent need to read what this function does. That's why we use the doc string. This is very important by using this library, FastMCP. And of course, you can use it something alternately, like you can say the tool specifically, you can give it a name that doesn't correspond to the name of the function. And you can give it a description that doesn't correspond to the doc string as well. So for that, you can see here, like we also do like MCP tool, and then we open here and we can give it a name that we want. So for this operation, this is gonna be, let's see, we have multiplication. What else? Let's maybe do addition. Let's do it shortly. Okay, add, and we add a description about this. So you see, it's something simple, like just add some numbers. I can just do it like before, like add some arguments, like put more context of it. This is important, but for now we just leave it like that, just to keep an idea that we can also do it that way, or just do it inside the function. And then for tags, this is like a way of letting the agent to access this tool. Like maybe this tool is related to math, maybe this tool is related to arithmetics, just give some at the end keywords that recognize this tool. So now below this, we're gonna build our function. As you know now, we can just put another name. This doesn't really matter because the decorator itself, we put a name and a description that this is gonna be for the agent. And you can see here, this doc string here is not gonna be taken into account. It's gonna be the description on top. So you can do both ways, but what is the best for you? I can tell you choose. So let's build the rest of the tools. So we are here. Let's see, MCP tool. Let's build a function. Let's say subtract. Yes. Now we don't need to specify too much. We already have the doc string, the name of the function. So I think this is enough for the agent to know that this is for subtracting, right? You see, let's compare to the others. Okay. Subtract, multiplication, and then grab division. Okay, let's divide the numbers. They are float, and the return also we have to assert if it is equal to 0. Okay, that seems to be that we are almost there. So now we need to call this method, the main. When we need to call a file, this is gonna go to C first. This is like the main function, let's say. So everything that is inside is gonna run when we call this file. So we're gonna run our MCP server by just calling the mcp.run. So everything goes here and it's gonna run MCP. Let's see. And this is gonna be STIO by default because we didn't specify. So you can do HTTP as well, but for now it's STIO because it's by default. So we just run it, Python, we call the name of the file, and then it's running. But how do we test it? Well, it's not that simple as it seems like. There is no way to do it, you see there. But as we talked from the beginning, we need to use something like an inspector. For this, we need to go to the folder that we are currently using. So you see we are here in scenario 1. So everything is correct. Yes. All right. So now we need to type the command on the inspector. That is npx at model context protocol. Well, that's very long. Let me see. Protocol / inspector. And now the argument is going to be Python. And the name of the file. FastMCP calculator.py. So you see now it's the IO. This is the argument that we need to send. Of course, this is how it is running. Okay, so now we have here the interface of the inspector. This is nice. We click here, connect, and there you have it. So this is how it looks like, the UI. So not much to say here. Resources, source template. This is for things that you might see in other course, but resources you're gonna get like some data information where to access to the agent. The tools is the thing that we're gonna see the most. So the tools that you see, we just define them, like some functions, and you see here the description of the ad is different than the others. Why? Because it's taking into account the one, not the docstring, but that one. So not like the other ones, right? Yeah, that's the difference between those tools. You see multiply, add, subtract, divide. Yeah, I hope this is like understandable here. So let's test them and see if they work. Let's try to add some numbers here just for plain. 5, 10. Okay, let's run the tool and see the result. All right, that seems correct to me. What do you think? Okay, so that seems the multiply works. What else? That's the Opus schema, by the way. And yeah, let's see what else. Let's add some numbers. Well, okay, understood. And seems that this is correct. All right. Okay, so I think for the rest, you might look like, yeah, this is gonna work. For authentication, because this is STIO, we don't need it that much, but if you want to HTTP, this is really important. This is gonna be like advanced topic. For prompts, this is to tell the assistant or the agent, let's say, to interact certain way. Resources, I tell this to let it to know where to access, what kind of information to access. Yeah, we're not gonna go more into detail into prompts or resources. And here on the left, we have transport type, you have STIO, we have the SSE that is deprecated, but we're gonna use it for the next example. Maybe sometimes you see it, but we don't need to use it anymore. HTTP is the recommended one. Environment variables, yeah, sometimes you might need authentication, as I told you, maybe by token or out. Yep. Now let's try other things. Let's see the tools. I already told the functions, and yep, we have it over there. So are you ready to see the next example that we're gonna use another library, and it's gonna be into HTTP, where we start from an API and then we convert it to MCPs. Okay, let's close this first, and then let's look into the second example. All right, let me close this. Okay. So now, as I told you, the second scenario is going to be a calculator API. So now let's start from the API and we convert it into MCP. For this, we're going to use FastAPI underscore MCP. It's another library. It's not the same. Remember that. And this is going to be HTTP. And at the end of it, I'm going to teach you how to do that with our previous library. So first of all, let's go here to. All right, now let's go and install things. Install FastAPI. This is a library just to do the APIs. Now the FastAPI MCP that converts the API into an MCP. And lastly, our recurrent that's gonna help to deploy a server. All right, so let's see. And let's wait for a few seconds. Well, seconds, it takes minutes, but you get the point. So let's wait. All right, after everything is installed, then we're just gonna create our file. So let's see, scenario 2. Let's create the file, and you're gonna name it as FastAPI Yeah, CPI, MCP, right? That's quite easy. Okay, there's gonna be also a Python file. Just don't forget that. Okay, here we go. That MC. Okay, let's put like calculator as well. It's gonna be long but specific, right? Guys, MCP calculator guy. Okay, so now as I told you, we're gonna do first the API, and after that, we're gonna build it into an MCP. So, and yeah, its protocol is gonna be HTTP. So, also there is something here. By default is SSE, but we should take into account HTTP because it's the standard nowadays. But let's see. Okay, now let's create it. Import the fast API. Let's try to create our API app. So okay, let's come here just to put a reference. Let's do are we gonna do here? Yeah, calculator, right? Okay, but anyway, let's go. Let's build a fast API app, and we're gonna have us. Yep. So nah, just keep it here as a reference. I don't want to keep the comment there. Okay, the app or the fast API, just do it this way. I will give it a name. In this case, it's gonna be a title of the API. So how are we gonna call that? As before, remember we use a calculator, but now we just put API to just distinguish this. All right, now that we have our app, then we need to keep the endpoints of it. And we have some standards like we get, post, put, but for this, you're gonna be just post because we're gonna send things and get it back, right? So for the endpoint of we're gonna have the employee multiplication. It's gonna be multiplied. When we address this, we're gonna have like a operation. So for this, we create a function. Let's see. For this function is gonna be multiply numbers. This is float. Yeah, makes sense, right? We're gonna return just one field. That's gonna be the result. Okay, not bad. I would say this kind of compile this. I kind of like it now. Okay. And here, remember, we cannot use that like I'm gonna return a float. No. We are using an API first. All right, it's not FastMCP as well. Okay, now let's continue with our endpoints. It's gonna add the input of addition. So the same process. Now it's gonna go for subtraction. And here we go. And lastly for division. So you see here. Okay, so this is only an API. Remember, we don't have much here to tell. This is the MCP. No. We haven't even called the library yet. Okay, so now let's try to run it. What are we gonna do first? Okay, remember, just call the main function. So when we call this, we're gonna deploy a server. And you see here, every kernel is gonna run here at the host. Yeah, it's gonna run our app at the host. Let's see, 0, and the port, something that is available. By default is 8080, but yeah, let's leave it at 8080. So it's fine. Okay, everything seems fine, and let's run it. By the way, there's something that I need to tell. We tried to run it. Yeah, let me go to the folder. But when we try to run it into 0000, this is gonna be on our API address. So that means people can access to our API address and that port, and voila, you have the API. But we don't want that. As you see here, 00 doesn't exist, right? We need to put the API address, but I'm not gonna show you my API address. Instead, we can change it to localhost for now. Just something that we can just use in the computer for this example. It doesn't have to be an API address. So okay, let's try to run the API. So I'm gonna go here to localhost, try to access, and you see there's nothing but here's the magic. Let's go to slash, and then we put the endpoint docs, and then you see like UI Swagger here, where you can see all the endpoints that we have available for the API. And of course, you can test them. So here we have all of them are type post, the multiplication, the addition, the subtraction, and the division. Voila. That's pretty much what we have here. Do you want to check the schemas? Yeah, that's another topic for another day, so don't worry. And MCPs also have schemas, but we're not gonna go much into detail. All right, So this is the return time. It's a JSON. It gives you some details. If you are more into APIs, you already know this. But let's test it out. So you have here on the right a button to try it out, and we put some values here. 5, 8. Try to run this, and we can then return. Yeah, that seems right? Okay, now let's go for another one. So it says here 10, 2, so it should be 12. Let's check. Yeah, the result is 12. We can keep going with the other functions. Actually, sorry, endpoints now. And 5, 6, okay. It seems that everything works as expected. And dazzling division. Yeah, it should work, right? Yeah, let's hope so. Yeah, let's see. As you remember, if you go without endpoint, we don't see anything. Okay. So now let's try to convert this into an MCP. What we're gonna do first, remember, we have a library specifically for this. But now we just try to see here. Yeah, here's where I go with the FastMCP part. But just leave a comment and then we're gonna import the library. Just for reference, in case you're gonna go to GitHub repo and you're gonna check the file. Yeah, you're gonna remember this part. Okay. So first of all, we're gonna call this library. So we're gonna import it from, let's see, FastAPI. Yeah, FastAPI underscore MCP. And this is the tricky part. Remember to import. The name of this is tricky. Fast, capital A P M C P like this. Yeah, just remember that because I made some mistakes in the past. So just remember to keep it like that, and it should be fine. Now we try to convert this API app. Remember that the name was app at the beginning when we get the FastAPI app, and then voila, that's how we build the MCP now. We converted. But of course, in order to work, we need to kind of say the protocol and everything. But for now, we just give it a name. Don't worry. So for the name of the MCP, it's gonna be a calculator. MCP, something simple. Now, in order to run, we need to mount it somehow. So we need to say that this MCP is ready to start. So we just do it by MCP mount. Yeah, that seems to be there, but this is still not finished because we didn't specify the format. Remember, I told you by default it's like SSE and not HTTP. Why is that important? Because one is deprecated, no longer used. So yeah, but okay, let's go with an example first. Let's try to run this and see if that works. So we're gonna go to the folder. We're gonna run this. We're gonna call Ubercron. So you see, it's gonna deploy in certain location. It's gonna be in the at our localhost, the port. But yeah, you see the comments here. You need to use something specific like HTTP or something to specify what kind of protocol are we using. We are using here. So if you're HTTP, it's called like that. Okay. So okay, now this seems that the server is running. We are ready to go to that address, right? And we need to find the, now that it's MCP, we need to find the endpoint.mcp. You will see that briefly, so don't worry too much about it. Just remember that this should be clear enough. Okay, let's try to access. So we access again. See docs, we still see the endpoints over there. All right, but now the MCP part is going to be the endpoint of MCP. All right, that seems like, yeah, we cannot do much here, right? Like, how can we access this? Okay, maybe we can use the command prompt here. Yeah, maybe we can just like request something on this address. Let's see. Should return something, and I will tell you, no, that doesn't happen. So how can we test something like this? And of course, this is where the inspector comes. So let's try to run it. And one of the mistakes that we can make is that we can call it as a STIO, and this is not like this. So you see here, this could be a common mistake that we can call it like Python, and then we call the name of this. But no, we are no longer using STIO. So for this, we just put the address. That's gonna be localhost /MCP, where this is deployed, right? So that's how we can test the inspector. Yeah, let's give it some time to just initialize, and there we have it, the UI again. So here on the left, you see everything. We're trying to connect, but that won't be possible because we need to change something. Can you see that? Yeah. Can you see it? It's on the left, top left. No? So yeah, we can spend like a lot of time, but you have to do this manually. So you can check here, the transport type, we have STIO. So we need to change it into what? For now, we're gonna use the servers and events as E by default, but remember that we no longer use that nowadays, so it's deprecated. But here we go, it works that way for this example. So you see the tools that we created now are into the MCP because yeah, they're API, but now I'm converting to MCP tools, you see. Nice. Oh well, what else can we do here? So you can test them as well. And also, if you want, you can just go to the API. So that's the advantage of having this. So for multiply, let's see. Okay, let's try to multiply two numbers again, just to see if everything works. Run it, and voila. You see? Let's see that addition part. Okay. Something that needs some improvement, if you see, is the description of the tools. It's not like that customizable as the other one, but of course there's some parameters that we can change there. But at the end, this is what we have in two different libraries. And okay, we have more things to change for now. No. Okay. So what if we want to use the HTTP? Well, we just need to change something. Remember that SSE is deprecated, so we need to change the mount. So for this, okay, let me close the server first. So make sure that it's not running anymore. Okay, close it. And so for this, I ask you, we have the mcp.mount, right? That's by default, it gives us server-side events. We don't want that anymore, so we just need to use HTTP. Here we go. Just change that, and we run it again. So let's see if the protocol is running here. Yeah, okay. Let me just try to close this everywhere, and try to call the protocol again. Try to run the server. Let's run the server now in HTTP mode, and finally the inspector. But actually, the inspector we cannot close it, just refresh it. But well, as a rule of thumb, we just try to, restart the things like the way we do things in with a computer sometimes. When it doesn't work, we just restart it, right? Okay, so let's see, that should be the address. Correct. Okay, just let's wait a few minutes here. Yeah, voila, we are here. So now just go to the transport type. We change it into streamable HTTP. Take out one, we connect, and we are there. Okay, so now we just go to list of tools, and yeah, you have it. Voici. Yeah, the version's working. Yeah. Okay. We don't need to test too much, right? I already tested with the SSE and we don't have any errors, so yeah, this shouldn't be the case as well. Yep, that is a second example. If you are thinking, what are the other things like resources, tools, for this needs to be not displayed, but yeah, there are some limitations still. We need to go to documentation, but we're not gonna use too much this library, but I just wanted to show you that this is possible, coming from an API and converting it to an MCP. So what if you want to do this into HTTP, but using the FastMCP library, the one that we use for the first scenario? Well, that's kind of simple. So let's go to our previous sample, the first scenario. So we're just gonna close this. Remember that this is using FastAPI because it's an API. But I will change it to HTTP. But this really needs an API for work, right? So okay, let's don't talk too much about it, and let's go to our first scenario. So we just gonna go here. We're just gonna copy all that, and then we're gonna create a new file. So for this, okay, let's create a new file. I'm gonna call it MCP. Later. Now version 2, because now it's gonna be HTTP. What's going to be the difference here? So here in the main function, by default is STIO. So when we want to do HTTP, we just need to specify that the transport now is going to be, yeah, you name it, HTTP. All right. So also we're going to run a localhost at the port. Why do we need that? Because we can tell the unicorn to deploy this at that address. Okay, so without more to do here, let's try to run it. Let's go here. Okay, we need to change the folder, so let's go here. So for this, we need the command sd 2 points. We go to sd scenario 1. Okay, we are here in the folder, so now we just call Python and the name of our file. Okay, since there are no errors, okay. So now we just need to do something similar. Okay, you see, localhost is running. And check our inspector. So same address, what we should do. We can go to the MCP endpoint, the same as before. So we just need to do it through our inspector. So let's go to the inspector and check out inspector. We closed it before, so we just need to run it. And do we have to go to the folder? Not necessarily, because this is HTTP, so you can run it anywhere and just give it the local host. But again, if you want to try the STIO and anything, just go to the folder. Okay, so for this, let's check it out. Since it's with me. Okay, so the port was strong. We did a different port. Now it's 83. You see, resources we don't have templates, prompts, no, but at least it's activated. That's the difference with this and the previous version. So okay, you have here, everything looks in order. Yeah, this should work, but now it's a different protocol, but just checking again. And it should be, okay, that works. And 10 times, I'm sorry, I'm looking at all the numbers here. Okay, and yeah, that seems to be the tool working. Okay, so that's another way to do it with only FastMCP. Yeah, now let's go to our next part. The third scenario that is a little bit more complex is going to be a feed search. This has some applications in real life. So we're going to use something called RS, that stands for Reality Sequence Indicator, that is useful for notifications. So it's only about the new content. And pretty much just by extracting the file. So we're going to do this for the YouTube channel and also for the website. So don't worry, we're going to explain a bit how it works. So, when you go to the website of FreeCodeCamp, you can search for maybe some courses, blogs, or anything related. So let's say search for Python, and you're going to see, okay, new courses. But if you go to the RLS, if you do that method, we're going to see what are the new updates. So let me show you now. We go to FreeCodeCamp, and it should be, yes, RLS, and you see this XML file that has some new content on the website, right? So it doesn't tell the whole thing, but at least this is where we're gonna extract some of the data, and we're gonna do like our MCP server to let an agent to search on this file. So yeah, you see here, there's a title description, the content to tell a little bit about one of the entries, but what we're looking for might be the titles of it. So it tells you about like, maybe a course or something. Okay, so that's pretty much the RLS that helps you for notification, so you don't get too much. So you see, that's the before we search about Python, and now we search about Python. You see some keywords going on there. So yeah, there might be some information about Python that's coming recently to the website. So first of all, we're gonna install a feed parser. So we're gonna update this XML file, and then we're gonna search for the title or certain tags in this file. So okay, let's go to our terminal here. You need to install things. It's called pip install feed. What is the name of this feed parser? Let me double check the spelling of it. Not native speaker as you have noticed, but okay, check. Okay, let me do it again. Pip install feed parser. All right. So yeah, that's the library that we need for go onto the XML file and then just get the content that we want. So yeah, we need to go onto that file. So for this, same, those are the tags. What are the tags that we're gonna look for? All right, might be this one. I told at the beginning, the title, right? So this is something that my interested us. And later on, we're gonna do this for the YouTube channel, as I mentioned it. But for YouTube channels, not a process. Actually, for this, we need to go to get the ID of the channel. So for that, you go here, share channel, copy the ID of the channel, and we're just gonna keep it somewhere. Let's keep it here. All right, that's the ID of the channel. Later on, we're gonna see how to get some data from there. But for now, let's focus on the website. So we're gonna create a new file here. Let's go to the folder scenario 3, and then, okay, how do we name this? You know, this is also a dilemma every time that we create files. So let's put feed. What else to see? MCP. Okay, makes sense, right? All right. So what we're gonna do first is try to import things. So as you know, rule of thumb, we already have working with FastMCP. So let's import FastMCP. Now our new library of feed parser to take information about the XML file. So let's create our MCP server. Just give it some name of it. Okay, we're gonna say freeCodeCamp. Yeah, kind of news, but let's see. Yeah, actually it's a feed structure. Yeah, makes sense, right? This is why we're trying to get into the feed and then get some data from there. It's not the ideal solution, you know, we can get an API instead, but we haven't found any API yet. All right, so MCP tool here. So we're gonna create our function. Let me see, what are the suggestions here? So yeah, goes close to that, but let's do it manually. Okay, search, give it a name. So the queries, yeah, we might need maybe to search for a certain keyword. So this will be our query. What type will be our query? Yeah, maybe text, right? So let's put as a string, and then, okay, maybe we have a lot of results. So let's say maximum results gonna be an integer. So yeah, we might get like a lot of results, but just in case. Okay, let's put a string by default, and then we just add like some docstring just to let the agent know what this function does, right? Also, we can just add the return type on top of it. Yeah, it's up to you. As I told you, it's very much about the schema, how you want the output, but we don't go too much deep in this course for this. All right, so let's go here. Let's say something about description, something simple enough, but you can get more deep into that, right? So don't worry too much. So okay, so search freeCodeCamp, and yeah, we're gonna get again title, and there should be another tag that we are looking for here. Let me see. Description might work. What do you think? Description can tell you a little bit about it. Okay, title and description. Okay, that sounds perfect. What do you think? So we go to the website, get into the feed, and search for the tags of title and description. All right. So here the suggestions tell us that go to certain website. Yeah, I like it. Let's go here. So the feed. It's gonna be feed. You're gonna select the parser here, and then we're gonna tell it to go to certain website, and the website looks, yeah, RS, the one here, RS, no feed. All right, yep. Now you're gonna say we're gonna parse on this address, and then we're gonna have a list of results empty, by the way. So we're gonna add there our results. So for this, we need to add a selector, right? Let me see here. For the query, we just need to put it lower. You know, sometimes we put something in may use, so this is something like standard that we do sometimes. So for every entry, we say like, okay, we need to get information about the title. So we go into entry dot the title. For description, we're gonna do similar thing. So you see, if you go, okay, let me search summary, or something. Yeah, on description. Okay, so we go again. Description here. It's gonna be similar method, so you only get the text of description. We don't get anything else. So let's see. Let's if our query is in title. we're gonna put it into the list. At the same time, if it is description part of the, the keyword, then we just gonna put it in the results. So yeah, that's pretty much. If the query, let's say a keyword Python, is either in the title or description, we're gonna add it to our list. So this is what we're gonna do here, and for now we're gonna just add it to the results by call it append. So we're gonna append this to the list, and what is gonna be that? Okay, yeah, 10 out of 10. Yep, I think it could work. We can add put content, and the URL could be important as well. But okay, okay, let's put something like a title like this. Yeah, that's great. Let's see, what are the other things? URL is important, right? Because we need to reference it somehow. So let's get it. We haven't got this. So you can do entry, the parser somehow. I get the tags link, the content of that, and the description we already extracted. So not much of a deal here. Check if everything's working. Good link. Okay, let's delete the description. Just get the link. Okay. If the length of results is larger than the max of results, we just break some down, get out of the loop here. But this is not gonna happen. As I told you, this is a feed. So it's like you don't have like a lot of results here, but anyway. And then return all the results on, let's take something by default, like there was no results. What do you think? Let's see here the suggestions, and they say, yeah, just put something like, yeah, okay, they say, yeah, message like, oh, the results were not found. Okay, so sounds good. Are you ready to test this? Okay, now that we have our function about feed search. Looks okay. Please let me know if you can also improve this function on the comments, and you will be happy. Don't worry, this is gonna be also on GitHub, so you can check out this later. So for now, let's go to our method of main, and let's start our MCP server. So for this, it's gonna be MCP run. By default, it's gonna be STIO, standard input and output. So it's gonna run locally as a program. So okay, let's try to see if there are any errors or something going on. Let's run it first. Yeah, it seems that there were no messages going on. Okay, so now let's go and see the inspector. So for the arguments, we're gonna add the command Python and the name of the file. So here we go. We're gonna start our MCP inspector to see if this is really working. All right, so looks here, STIO, arguments. Okay, let's connect. All right, now we are here. We got the tools. That's the only thing that we have activated here. And see the function here. Okay, our query. What are the results? Okay, so we found one. How to run Python, and we have the URL. What do you think? We can also add the description if you want, but we only got those things. So if you go to the news and you see, yes, the title looks there, and the content makes sense somehow. Okay, we didn't get description, but can we see the link? Yes, this seems correct. So, Eureka, we found it. Somehow we got to extract the URL and we got to extract the title. So this is the content. Now there is a tutorial by your friends in on FreeCodeCamp. So perfect. Let's prompt. Engineering, yeah, makes sense. So it is there. Okay, so at least it got this prompt. All right, perfect. So there's another entry here. Okay, so that's how the new search work. Now let's go to copy the ID of the YouTube channel. As we mentioned at the beginning, we need to create the next function or the next tool now that we're talking about MCP around. Okay, so let's get back here. So yeah, let's create the MCP tool. This the decorator MCP.tool and now to create the function. This is synchronous for now, but you can make it asynchronous if you want. I would recommend asynchronous because you can run this like non-blocking, so it doesn't wait for other process to finish. So yeah, in any case, just let you this as a homework, so don't worry. So okay, sorry, I'm talking too much, and already did a lot of stuff here. So we do the query again, max results, the same logic that we did for the previous function. So you see, max results. I don't think there's going to be a lot of videos, so let's do it by default here. So for this, we're going to give a description. And again, what we're going to say, we're going to search the name of FreeCodeCamp, YouTube channel, RS, title. Yeah, kind of makes sense now, right? We are just using title here. I don't know much about the YouTube file, but we're gonna do it simply by title, at least by title and URL. All right, the feed, and then we keep the address of it. There's a specific address for YouTube. So by Googling, I know that is the YouTube channel. So for this, we go to YouTube channel. Pretty much the feed section. Now the videos XML, and then you need to keep the ID of that channel. So for the ID, we already extracted, and we're gonna just go here, copy and paste it. All right, so that seems to get us that file. Yep. So here we're gonna go a little bit blindy. So just pay attention to this. I hope this works. If not, I'm just gonna fix it, but don't worry, this is the course. So okay, it's gonna do the results here, the query, the same process that we did before for an array entry, and all the entries that we have. Let's say you're gonna iterate here, and okay, you're gonna search for, yeah, we're gonna get title and somehow the URL, kind of the same thing that we did before. So yes, kind of copy paste, let's say. So yeah, it should give us an XML that looks similar to our previous one, and we're just gonna categorize everything by title. And if the title is the query is in the title, okay, just go to the list, append the results and the link. So we not look for description here, just title. Okay, so now we return the results, or we send a message that the results were not found again. And voila, that's very much just kind of copy paste of the previous function. And with this, we can just start running it, but let's check if we have any errors. And no, it's running. So okay, MCP inspector, we run it again. We close it. Okay, anyway, we restarted. And here we go again. So connect, right in, and now tools should have two tools here. Tools, yeah. Let's go to YouTube search then. So I don't know, something about Python. We found something. Yeah, yes, we found it. So there should be a new video coming. Yeah, AI code agent with Python. All right, that's perfect. So that's quite recent. So you see, that's why we use the feed, because it tells about the recent updates. All right, let's see another query. What do you think? Okay, what can we do? AI. Okay, we have two videos. Guide to agentic AI, using AI as an accelerator. Okay, that's good. That's good. So it seems working. So what do you think? Now we are ready to get a real life example, as you can use it for other purposes, maybe some websites that you have in mind, or maybe you have an API instead of just using this method of the RS, right? So yep. And also we're gonna create another tool. This is for giving you secret message. So for example, you have your own way to, to tell certain things, like I have a secret message. So the agent will try to find the secret message you have over there. Are we gonna do this as a function? Let's say, okay, let's return secret message. Okay, what do you think about some secret? I think there is no recipe to code, so everything that we have to do is to keep exploring and, of course, keep coding. So you're exploring and happy coding sounds perfect. What do you think? And don't forget to leave your any thoughts here in comment section. So get creative. I will say, just if you have more messages, it would be great. All right. So yep, that sounds cool. Description, return secret message of FreeCodeCamp. Keep starting and happy coding. Okay, that's perfect. Yeah, we're not gonna test that. You already know that should work. It's just a message. So, all right. Now we can go to the next part. We can go to connecting our MCPs. So for this, it's gonna be directly into VS Code. So let's go here. We're gonna create a file that it's mainly work for VS Code configuration. So we're gonna go to the folder VS Code MCP JSON. So you see here, MCP JSON, it's gonna give us the information about how to set up an MCP. And this only for Visual Studio Code. Remember, we need to go to the .vs Code. So for that, we're gonna open brackets. We're gonna get the keyword servers, and here we're gonna put the information about the MCP server. So for this, we need the title of the MCP server. We're gonna put a calculator. The command will be how you're gonna open or start the server. And the arguments, yeah, they're gonna depend if it's STIO or HTTP. So yeah, and the address where is the path, sorry, and the path where is your file. So for this, let's say we're gonna go for the scenario first. First scenario. So the name of the file is gonna be STIO for now. So calculator.py, the first one that we here, and the command Python. And here we don't need environment. Environments will be like a token or authentication that you might have here. Okay, so command will be Python by default, but since I'm using a virtual environment in Python, I need to put the full path where is my Python file. So I need to go here to the virtual environment where I have the folder, the virtual environment. So if you didn't install a virtual environment, you just put Python and it should work. Or for my case, I need to find the python.x, and there you have it. So I need to copy the full path and need to change here the slider pass. That looks better. Okay, so now you can avoid that command or just put Python if you don't have a virtual environment. Okay, so that should do the job. For this, it tells the Visual Studio Code to add this MCP server. And also you can do this manually, but I haven't really tried that way. I've seen that they have a function in Visual Code to do it, but it's not that clear to me yet. But I hope this one works and is quite clear for you. So if you have another method, please let me know. Okay, so what I'm gonna do here, as I told you can do this automatically here, like kind of go and add a command to run. This is gonna be Python, blah blah blah, but it's just gonna give you an idea, and this idea I don't know where it is. So yeah, it was looking quite confusing. Let's open the agent mode here, and now you're gonna have an icon of the servers. You have the agent. Yeah, go to the method of agent. You can choose the model that you want, or at least you have access to, and then you have the icon of kind of servers here that tell you how to run So to run the MCP server, and it's gonna run it somehow. So you need to be quite careful. So let's go here to this area and just make sure that it's running or not. So here you see somehow it's running, but we don't see it. So let's go to the output, the debug console or something. No. Okay, so let's stop it and restart it. You see, okay, so now we see it somehow. So let's see if it's running. Yeah, it's running with transport STIO. Okay, so it seems that the configuration was correct. Now we can make use of our MCP server. So let's gonna go to the agent mode, and here we're gonna try to maybe ask for something that we already have in our MCP server, right? So let's see. Okay, let's multiply 3 times 2, and let's gonna wait for the result. So now you're gonna ask us to run our a function in our MCP server tool. Sorry, a tool. Okay. Okay, and voila, you have it. So the product is gonna be 6. So that means it works. Also, if you had a different configuration of multiplication, it's gonna run on that point. For example, if you set multiplication to power off in your MCP server, you're gonna get the result of power even though you had the function as a multiplication. But okay, so here is just the summary what you can do. At least you can see the configuration file here as well, what we have just done. Yeah, voila, that's the first one. So there are 2 more to go. Okay, so let's go and create the second scenario. So for this one was HTTP. Do you remember that? Yeah, so we do something similar. But okay, I'm gonna do this again, and then we're gonna copy inside the keyword of server. So this one gets a little bit more clear again. All right, so for this, we can just copy paste what we just done. But this is gonna be a duplicate, so later on we're gonna put it inside one keyword server. All right, so okay, don't worry, we're just gonna do that in a moment. So let's focus on this. First of all, we're not gonna use the executable Python, but here we need to change the name to HTTP first. Okay, for the executable, we don't use Python, it's gonna be HTTP, is it? So we need to connect to a server. So for that, we're gonna use npx command, and here we're gonna have something really important here. You need to put the keyword of MCP remote so that you tell it that this server, we are using something remotely, right? So you need to connect to a server somehow. So you gotta connect at this address. So if it is deployed somewhere, you have to put it /MCP. Okay, so this is running localhost at this port, and the MCP is running at this endpoint. All right, so that seems correct. But is it enough? There is something wrong. I told you at the beginning, we need to put it somewhere like inside a keyword. Aha. So this is not enough. You see, Visual Code start to give us some hints there that something is wrong. So, well, yes. So we need to put everything inside one keyword servers. Otherwise, it's gonna be messy. So here we go again. So we just copy right here, the name, and then the commands and everything. Okay, let me just go here, command. Okay, sorry if this was not that clear, but yeah, I hope now it does. Let's go to agent mode and see the icon of servers here. Shows around MCP server. Yes. Okay, so this is we'll try to connect to the MCP server somehow. To connect to that address, but not really running it. You will see what I'm what I'm saying here. Like, okay, so how this it says like, okay, there is a server running here, right? So let's restart it. So it tells us about like connection error, Okay, so that's what it tells us is that there is nothing going on that address. So what we have to do is to go to our terminal and run the server. Now in HTTP mode. All right, so we can deactivate the STIO, so we can only focus on the MCP of HTTP to see how it works. So let's go this part. We see that it's not running. It's only HTTP connection. So let's say multiply 2 times by. Okay, so this is by default by the agent. It's not something, using the our MCP. What can we do? The configuration is correct, at least is accessing it, but something is going on. Okay, we're gonna try to implement the tier 1, and then I'm gonna show you the solution for this. So let's do this simply. Okay, for now we have the feed as well, and we're gonna add the Python because we are using a virtual environment. We just need to tell the scenario tree is gonna be the name of that file. The name of that file is feed score MCP. Okay, so after doing this configuration of the tier MCP server, then we can fix that part. So let's double check if on extension we find the new one. Yes. Yeah. Sorry, MCP correct. Okay. Let's try that. Here, MCP model is where you can choose what kind of model can access to your MCP server. So this is what happened with previously. So we didn't say specifically to the, let's say like the UI over Visual Studio Code to let Copilot to access to certain MCP servers. So here you need to tell it exactly what kind of agents have access to what kind of MCPs. So yeah, you see here, configure more access, and you can tell, okay, only O3 Mini, only Cloud can access to this. Or yeah, so that's what's the thing that we miss. But now it should work without a doubt. Okay, so that one. Now let's just say feed. Yeah, that looks good. And yeah, let's try here. So I've just tried that before. Okay, now we can say we like to find if there are any courses in let's say freeCodeCamp, but related to Python. Check. Now it should run the MCP. Yes. We're just gonna query for a well, it's quite long. Probably not gonna get any results. We need to find by insert by keyword. Also, it goes to the YouTube channel. Yeah, probably it's not gonna find anything. You see, it didn't find anything there. Okay, so we need to tell the to try to search by keyword instead of like a sentence. Okay, what if you make the search easier? Just search by keyword. And actually, this we can do it on the doc stream. We can just put like search by keyword instead of just say it to the assistant multiple times. Yep. Let's run this part and also go to the YouTube feed. And then we need to get the results. You see here, all right, we have it. So for the website, we get this. And from the YouTube channel, we get that. Okay, but there is something missing, right? We didn't get the link somehow. Okay, so we can ask for the links. And yep. And it can ask us to open the, yeah, I'm not gonna open it now, but at least we already tried it and we know that those URLs are correct. Okay, and now we tell them we are on a mission. And then we need to get a secret message from freeCodeCamp. All right. Can you pretty much tell me anything about it? Okay, so you know now Legend knows where to find this message and it goes to that and returns the secret message. So what do you think? I hope you like this tutorial. It seems to be a little bit, fast in that way, but I hope you enjoy it and give you an idea of how to build MCP servers. So yeah, the next step will be you can deploy an MCP server. You can keep reading the documentation, of course, keep exploring because this is a trendy topic nowadays and people are building stuff with it. So yeah, and for the next step, this is a bonus part. I told you that we're gonna deploy MCP servers. We have Cloudflare, Google Cloud, and also this option that is in beta now, the FastMCP Cloud. So the ones from the scenario that we use for the mainly this course. So for here, you need to create like an account, go to your GitHub, or email. Then you need to create a workspace. So for this, we're gonna go here and put a name that we want in freeCodeCamp MCP. And yeah, we need to connect to our Git in order to connect it to a repository, right? So, okay, we need to tell it where it is. So for this, we need to create like a repository. I already create this, but we need to load some code. And you might ask yourself, like, hey, wait, you didn't give me any code for this. Yeah, we haven't created anything ready to be deployed. So the closest thing that we have here is the feed, right? Kind of the feed search. So we're gonna here create a new folder. Okay, I create a file here then, and then we create a folder with this. So the folder we're gonna be deployment slash now the name of our file. That's gonna be feed. Okay, it's gonna be something like feed. Forget something simple. Feed file. Are we gonna copy what we have just done? Are we just gonna change the configuration from STIO into HTTP. So pretty much now the transfer is going to be HTTP instead of STIO because we are going to deploy something. So for this, we're going to just say, okay, HTTP, but we need to specify exactly. See, as we did here, the transport. So let me check. Transport is going to be HTTP. What else? About the port and the rest, I'm not so sure about it since I don't know how it's gonna happen in that platform. But at least we know that the transfer for now is gonna be HTTP. And of course, we need to also get like a requirements file. So instead of just confusing you in the GitHub, this is gonna be everything here. I'm gonna call it requirements deployed. You can name it as you want. The only things that we need for deploy this file, we need the feed parser that we just installed and the FastMCP library. So those are the only two things that we need, and they're important in order to know the platform where to find and install things, right, in order to deploy this server. So okay, we upload our files, so you find them. Okay, and I'm gonna tell you that what we have to do now here. Okay, just put a name of your server, whatever you wanna call it. For this example, we're gonna say freeCodeCamp. Okay, freeCodeCamp. Yeah, okay. No one is using it, so that's good. Authentication, do we need authentication for now? Okay, this is really important, right? But since we are just for testing purpose, this is like a bonus section. I don't know. I just gonna disable it, but don't do that, please. Try to authenticate all the time. Scalable, no, for now. Resources, okay, we can select like one of the hardware, the hardware that they have available, but no for this now. And requirements, this is really important, by the way. You need to tell exactly what is the main file for the entry point. So for our case, it's the feed.py, and also the requirements. This is really important as well. The requirements, you need to tell the name of the requirements file. So for our case, it's requirements underscore deployed.txt. Otherwise, it's gonna look for the default that is gonna be requirements txt, but it's not gonna work because we didn't specify the requirements. So I tried to rerun it again. Now by changing to default requirement txt or going to configuration and then tell it to go and search this file, requirement txt, that is default, or requirements underscore deployed as we have at the beginning. So either case should work. Rename it as a default or specify it. So yeah, that was the default and the other one was and we changed it. Okay, so yeah, after testing it, I hope that I gave you the idea that you need to, it's really important to put here the requirements file. So I told for our case, it was requirements deploy, but yeah, anyway, so it's gonna run. And now we can think about where to connect it. Like now we're gonna use external tools. Here, at least in this platform, you have some examples. You can connect it to at least maybe the SDK OpenAI, how to connect it to the what is the OpenAI codecs, right? The Cloud Code, Cloud Desktop. All right. Yeah. Also, they have an interface. You can just test it first. So you have the Chat MCP. You see MCPs that are tools that are available. So let's ask him similar things about what we done in the course. Yeah, find a course with keyword AI. And yeah, should be returning something, right? Blah, blah, blah. By the way, this is going again synchronous. If you want to do this in parallel, please try to do asynchronous. But as I told you, I'll leave you this as a homework. All right. So you found something, and I got it to Agents AI and Slayer. Okay, that's great, right? So we are just gonna waste some money by saying thanks to the agent. I'm just kidding. Don't do that sometimes. We need to be nice, right? So clients here. Okay. What else do you think? Where should we connect this? I'm thinking about going to Mistral and address. So let's go to chat Mistral, the connectors, and then you can add the connector here. Then custom MCP connector, give it a name that you want. Okay, so let's gonna copy the address of our MCP server. Okay, now the description of it, is it really important? Let's say, just for your reference, authentication method we don't have for now, but this is really important. Okay, name is connector names required. What is happening here? We didn't put it, sorry. Needs new glasses here. Okay, let's put it here then, freeCodeCamp, and then description, we can just tell about something random. Okay, search, and for information related to FreeCodeCamp, right? So FreeCodeCamp, perfect. This should be all together, so that's fine. So after this, we notification and should connect. Okay, we have it here now on the Mr. All right, so let's go to the chat and then we try to ask anything. Let's check the connectors. Yeah, it's on. So let's ask in a few things. Can you search by keyword if there are like any courses related to anything? I already know that it should work. Any idea? I mean, maybe to UI on FreeCodeCamp. Yeah, otherwise it's gonna just search something randomly, right? So let's wait for the chat to answer us. And yeah, it asks us to run the tools. Yep. And it's doing it. So this is great, right? So now you know exactly where to deploy, how to use external tools, and maybe you can even create like business around it. You know, there are GPT wrappers nowadays, so why not? Something related to MCPs. Okay. Okay, so now you have some results here. Okay, let's focus on it now. So okay. Okay, I'm interested. I remember that we only found like something related to the title and the link, right? But now it gives us some description. So nice that at least the agent give us an idea about what they are about. Okay, and now we need to ask them about the secret message. So let's see if we can. Okay, let's check if you can find it. And you know the possibilities are infinite. Like you can even create your own algorithm of encryption, decryption, or specific ways to do multiplication if we just go back to our example, the calculator. So this is the possibilities that you can do with the MCP. It's very much giving instructions to the agents to do things. All right, so that was it. I need to tell you to keep exploring the happy coding. I hope you like it, and don't forget to leave your comment. I hope you can keep doing more stuff, right? So voila, that was it. And thank you for FreeCodeCamp, and have a great day.